So, good morning to everyone. Today, my topic is on process-induced toxicant and with special emphasis on heterocyclic amines. So, let me start the session. So, food safety is a global phenomenon, as we all know, and present day public are more concerned about the risks associated with the food, and they want to know the hazards that may occur from the food they consume. And further, the number of chemical contaminants that occur in food also increasing day by day. So, one of the such contaminant are process-induced toxicants. This we have seen yesterday itself. With respect to meat, there are three important process-induced toxicants, namely polyaromatic hydrocarbons. The second one is our topic of interest, heterocyclic aromatic amines, and third one is nitrosamines. So, what is process-induced toxicants? For example, when you prepare some processed meat products, like as I already told you, like chicken kurma, when you prepare in a household, you used to have a raw material, that is your chicken or any meat. Along with it, you used to add some of the ingredients, and then you subject it to some basic processing operations like cooking. So you all know that each either it is a raw material or ingredient, it possesses its own chemical composition. So the chemical components within the raw material as well as in the ingredients, they may go for reactions. They act as a substrate. They undergo chemical reaction due to cooking, thereby results in the production of some of the reaction products. Such reaction products formed may have beneficial properties, or some of the reactant products that have formed may have adverse physiological effects on the consumer. The agents that possess beneficial properties are, it may be antioxidants or it may be anticarcinogens, or some of the reactant products that form have some nutritional properties. Some contribute to organoleptic qualities like flavor, aroma, texture, and color of your food products. Conversely, some other compounds that are produced have adverse effect on the physiological characters of the individual. The agents are namely carcinogens, or it may be a genotoxic compound. The reactant product that form may be a carcinogenic compound, or it may be a genotoxic compound, or it may be a neurotoxic one, or anti-nutritional, or it will affect qualitatively only flavor and aroma. These compounds, the later compounds, are collectively called as process-induced toxicants, or we say it as process-formed toxicants. So when you prepare some processed meat products using raw material ingredients and some of the basic or special processing operation, we may get some amount of beneficial compound also, we may get some of process-induced toxicants also. So generally they both are coexisting in the food ministry that we prepare. Most of the occasions, these process-induced toxicants are formed when we use the basic processing operation like heating or some of the cooking methods. We all know that there are three types of cooking methods. One is dry cooking and moist cooking and combination cooking methods, of which toasting, roasting, frying, broiling, baking, grilling, and microwave cooking. All these cooking types, most of the occasions, they result in formation of this process-induced toxicants. So by definition, let us know what is process-induced toxicants. They are synonymously called as process-induced toxicants or process-formed toxicants. So as per definition, these are substances that are present in food as a result of food processing or preparation. That means as a result of basic processing operation or special processing operation, or in combination of basic and special processing operation. Some occasions we will use both basic and special processing operation. So thereby these substances are formed, they have adverse physiological effects in human. That is, these substrates have the potency to risk the human health, or they have real risk to human health. So the heterocyclic compound, heterocyclic amines, our topic of interest, are also a group of compounds. They are also process-induced toxicants that are commonly detected in cooked meats, especially well-done meat. So, what is well-done meat? There is a different degree of doneness of meat. It may vary from well-done to blue. So, it depends on the temperature, internal temperature to which we are subjecting them, we are cooking the meat. So well done meat means we are exposing the food product to a temperature of 71 to 100 degree, or in Fahrenheit we can say 160 to 212 degree Fahrenheit. So most of the occasions the well done meat possesses these heterocyclic aromatic amines. How these heterocyclic aromatic amines are being formed? Meat itself was rich. We all know that meat is rich in proteins. The proteins are made up of amino acids. So these amino acids react with the compound known as creatine, which is also present in the muscle tissue, which is mainly formed in the liver from the amino acid derivative glycine, and get stored in the liver. This creatine and the amino acids in the protein, when we subject to cooking, they go for, they act as a substances, and they act as a substrates, and they interact with each other, thereby results in formation of heterocyclic amines. Before going to heterocyclic amines in proper, let me know what is cyclic compound. So the cyclic compound is nothing but a ring compound in which one or more of the atoms in the compound, they form a ring-like structure. So they form connection between each other, thereby they form a ring-like structure. The ring size may vary. It may be formed by 3 atoms or many atoms. Again, these cyclic compounds can be classified into 3 categories. One is it may be a carbocyclic compound, or inorganic cyclic compounds, or it may be a heterocyclic compounds. So what is carbocyclic compounds? If all the atoms involved in cycle formation are ring formation, all the atoms that involved in ring formation are carbon atoms, then they are called carbocyclic compounds. If all the atoms that involved in cycle formation are not other than carbon atoms, then it is called inorganic cyclic compounds. The heterocyclic compounds mean the atoms that involved in ring formation will be more than one, belong to atoms belong to different elements, more than one element. For example, the atoms from 2 different elements, minimum from 2 different elements. One will be carbon, the other will be non-carbon atoms. So such compounds are called heterocyclic compounds. These heterocyclic compounds and carbocyclic compounds, again they are classified as aliphatic compounds and aromatic compounds, and again saturated and unsaturated compounds depend on the degree of unsaturation. So this, in totality, we can say heterocyclic compound means it should have a ring structure, and in that ring structure, the ring structure should be formed by more than one atom from different elements. That means what I want to say is, some of the atoms may be from carbon and rest of the atoms from non-carbon element. So here I have given some structures to depict carbocycles and cyclic inorganic compounds and heterocyclic compounds. Here, if you see, all the compounds that involved in cycle formation are carbon. So, example, cyclobutane and cyclopentane. You see, all atoms involved in cycle formation are carbon. Here, all atoms that involved in cycle formation are non-carbon atoms. You see, silicon has involved into cycle formation. Here, the phosphorus has involved into cycle formation. Whereas in case of heterocyclic compounds, you see, here we have carbon atoms, and within the cycle we have nitrogen atoms. So these compounds like pyridine, pyrimidine, furans and imidazoles, they all possess, you see here in furans, we have all carbon, 4 carbon atoms and 1 oxygen atom. So now these compounds are said to be heterocyclic compounds. So these heterocyclic, examples of heterocyclic compounds, nucleic acid. Nucleic acid means in nucleic acid we have some nitrogenous bases. That nitrogenous bases are heterocyclic compounds. Then some of the drugs like nicotine, and biomasses like cellulose, semicellulose, or lignocellulose, they all are considered to be heterocyclic compounds. So now we will come to our compound of interest, heterocyclic amines. This is also a heterocyclic compound, but it should have one, as per definition, it should have one heterocyclic ring, and it should also have one amine group within their structure. Then only they can be classified as heterocyclic amines. That means it should have a heterocyclic ring and it should also possess an amine group. This amine group is nothing but a nitrogen containing group. It may be within the heterocyclic ring. This nitrogen group may be within the heterocyclic ring, or it may get attached with the heterocyclic ring. Both are considered to be heterocyclic amines. So, for example, in case of pyridine, you see, in case of pyridine, the nitrogen is directly, they involve in both ring formation as well as they are in this compound itself. So, it is considered to be a heterocyclic amine. Whereas in some compounds, in addition to the nitrogen in this heterocyclic compound, the nitrogen group get attached with this ring structure. That also considered to be heterocyclic amines. So we all may think that these all heterocyclic amines are carcinogen, and in reality it is not so. Some of the heterocyclic amines are vitamins, are some also heterocyclic amines. They are involved in biological functions. And some of the heterocyclic amines are carcinogens. From this we come to know all heterocyclic amines are not carcinogen. Some are involved in biological functions. Examples are vitamin B3 niacin, which is a heterocyclic amine which involved in biological functions. Similarly, nicotine, which is used as a bioactive alkaloid as well as recreational drug, that is also a heterocyclic amine. In addition to that, nucleobases, as I already told you, nitrogenous bases in the nucleic acid, they are also heterocyclic amines. And some of the heterocyclic amines are harmful and they are carcinogens as well as mutagens that are mainly formed while cooking meat products. As already we have seen, amino acids present in the meat as well as creatinine compound in the meat, they interact upon cooking, thereby results in formation of some amount of heterocyclic amines. The reaction goes between amino acids, sugars and creatinine, how they interact, that we will see in the future slides. So, then these heterocyclic amines they are mutant, they are able to bring about, mutant means they are able to bring about mutation in chromosome, especially in DNA. So these are mainly for cooking procedure like frying, broiling, smoking and barbecuing. And meat and fish possess abundant some amount of amino acids and creatinine, so they are mainly present in these food material. They are 10 times more potent than other toxic compounds. They are highly mutagenic, and when compared their carcinogenicity with other carcinogenic compounds, they are 10 times more potent in their carcinogenicity. They are 10 times more potent than nitrosamines as well as aflatoxin D1 and benzopyrene, a polyaromatic hydrocarbon. And further, epidemiological surveys also indicate there is a correlation between heterocyclic aromatic consumption of meat containing heterocyclic aromatic amines and breast cancer, stomach, colon, pancreatic, prostate and other cancer types. Now, one interesting thing to note is heterocyclic aromatic amines are directly, they don't possess mutagenic activity. They require metabolic activation within the system, biological system, within the consumer. Then only they can act as a mutagenic, or they can act as a mutagen. As such, they formed in the food, they are not mutagenic. Once they enter, once it has been consumed, they go for metabolic activation in the consumer, and then it will act as a mutagenic compound. So once it has been consumed by the consumer, it gets absorbed in the intestine, and then it will be transported to the liver where the activation of these compounds happen. So what happens in the liver? These heterocyclic aromatic amines go for N-oxidation by the cytochrome enzymes, especially cytochrome P450. Then they go for acetylation reaction, which two reactions are necessary for metabolic activation of heterocyclic aromatic amines to become a mutant. So upon these reactions, the end product formed is N-acetoxide amine. This compound, this reactive molecule, they form adduct with the DNA molecule, thereby they cause the DNA damage, finally end up with mutation. So now we will see, now we know how what are the heterocyclic aromatic amines and how they bring about mutagenic and carcinogenic effect. Now we will see how these heterocyclic amines are formed in the food while we are preparing food. So generally these heterocyclic amines are classified into two categories. One is amino carboline group and second one is amino imidazoarine group. So based on the chemical structure, they have been classified as amino carboline group and amino imidazoarine group. So let us first see about amino carboline group. So these are otherwise called as pyrolytic heterocyclic amines. The name itself implies these compounds are being produced when the precursors of these heterocyclic aromatic amines are subjected to high temperature, because the term pyrolysis itself indicates we are exposing some products to high temperature. So these compounds has been first, this heterocyclic aromatic amino carboline group of heterocyclic amines has been first isolated from condensation of cigarette smoke, or pyrolysis of individual amino acids, or from pyrolysis of some proteins like albumin, casein in milk, and gluten or soybean globin. When these protein or amino acids are subjected to pyrolysis, they end up with they result in the formation of this amino carboline group of heterocyclic amines. These are the first class of mutagenic heterocyclic amines that has been discovered. So, what is the chemical structure of amino carboline group of heterocyclic amines? Usually, they have a exocyclic amino group in their structure, and it may also possess an exocyclic methyl group. Previously, I have told what is heterocyclic. I have told you definition of heterocyclic amines. What it should possess? It should possess a heterocyclic ring structure. With it should have the amino group. Then only it is considered to be heterocyclic amine. But in this category, in the amino carboline group, what the definition says, it should possess exocyclic amino group. You see the structure of several carboline group of heterocyclic amines. Here, this portion is your bases, pyridine bases, right? So the pyridine bases, as per the definition, what has been mentioned, it should possess an exocyclic amino group. This is your exocyclic amino group. This portion is different, that we will talk about separately, and this particular portion is your pyridine base, in which this forms the heterocyclic portion of the heterocyclic aromatic amine, and it get attached with exocyclic amino group. You see, in all cases, you will have a pyridine ring and you will have a exocyclic amino group, except beta carbolines. See, here also we have pyridine bases, which is a heterocyclic portion, and we have a exocyclic amino group in delta carboline also. In addition to that, we will possess some of the agents may possess exocyclic methyl group. That also we can appreciate from the diagrams. You see, methyl group get attached with the heterocyclic portion of the heterocyclic amine. Then these two compounds, which one? This heterocyclic ring, that is pyridine ring structure, along with the exocyclic amine and exocyclic methyl group, get linked with either indole moiety or imidazole moiety. Here you can see this one is your indole moiety. Here you see this portion is your indole moiety. This portion is your indole moiety. Here also you possess indole. So in all the cases, alpha carboline, beta carboline, gamma carboline, delta carboline, all cases we have some group get attached with the heterocyclic amine, as well as heterocyclic amine that possess exocyclic amino group. Clear? So thereby the this is the way this heterocyclic aromatic amines that belongs to aminocarbonyl group has been formed. But here they have given separately that beta carbolines, they lack in exocyclic amino group. Because of that only we do not see any amino group in the pyridine structure. So the beta carbolines are also heterocyclic aromatic amines that lack exocyclic amino group. They are not mutagenic. However, they are not mutagenic in amines test. Amines test is a biological test to assess mutagenic potential of any compound using a bacteria. And but these beta carbolin compounds, as if they are not mutagenic, but they act as a co-mutagenic. That means whenever other aminocarbonyl group or other amino-imidazolines groups are present, they act as a co-mutagenic compound. The important thing to note is these aminocarbonyl group of heterocyclic aromatic amines are sensitive to nitrate, because when there is presence of nitrate, they lose their mutagenic activities. This is important to note, because when you prepare some food products, if you add nitrate, then they will nullify the mutagenic potential of heterocyclic aromatic amines that are formed, especially heterocyclic amine belonging to aminocarbonyl group. Their mutagenic potential get nullified. But at the same time, we should take care in the usage level of nitrate, because they themselves can act as a carcinogen. So, as I already told to you, this beta carbolin group of heterocyclic aromatic amines are formed by coupling either this imidazole group, this imidazole group, or this indole group get coupled with this pyridine base, thereby results in formation of aminocarbonyl group of heterocyclic aromatic amines. Then, how they are formed? They are formed through pyrolysis of amino acids and proteins. I have already told to you. These reactions involve free radicals. When we subject amino acids and protein to high temperature, that is over and above 300 degrees centigrade, then this results in the free radical reactions, which involves initiation, propagation, and termination. So the free radical formed during this reaction results in the formation of many reactive fragments of these amino acids as well as protein. They again condense to form heterocyclic structure. So initially they go for fragmentation, then the fragmentation products, they go for condensation, then they rearrange to form heterocyclic structures. Thereby, your heterocyclic amines are formed. For example, in case of alpha and gamma carbolines, they are formed mainly by pyrolyzing tryptophan or proteins of animal or vegetable origin. So, what I want to say is, these alpha and gamma carbolines are mainly produced from tryptophan amino acid, or otherwise protein of animal or vegetable origin, the albumin, casein, or soybean globulin. They also results in formation of these alpha and gamma carbolin group of heterocyclic amines. These all are abbreviated name of some of the aminocarbonyl group of heterocyclic amines. Their chemical name has been given in different slide. After alpha and gamma carbolins, these TRPP1 and TRPP2 have indole moiety. I already told you that along with the pyridine ring, we have either this pyrrole ring get attached with either indole ring or imidazole ring. So, in case of TRPP1 and TRPP2, the moiety that get attached with the pyrrole ring is indole moiety. Right? It has this TRP1, 2 as well as the listed alpha and gamma carbolins are formed from tryptophan amino acids. So, if you take beta carbolins, we have seen about alpha and gamma. If you take beta carbolins, the main compounds are norhormone and hormone. They are formed from amino. They are also formed from amino acids. However, with respect to yield, the quantity of hormone and norhormone will be higher than that of any other amino carbonyl group of heterocyclic aromatic amines. That means quantity-wise, the yield of these beta carbonates will be higher. However, they are not mutagenic as such, they are acting as co-mutagenic. So, during the fragmentation reaction, there will be formation of dipyrido and imidazole ring will be formed that get attached with your pyridyl group in case of delta carbonyl group of heterocyclic amines. This is the case with delta carbonyl group of heterocyclic amines. So majority of this amino carbonyl group of heterocyclic amines are formed during broiling, barbecuing and frying of fish products as well as meat extracts as well as bouillons. Then some of these amino carbonyl group of heterocyclic aromatic amines are formed at ordinary temperature, ordinary cooking temperature also. I told you amino carbonyls are formed when cooking at temperature over and above 300 degrees centigrade. However, some of the amino carbonyl group of heterocyclic amines are formed at ordinary cooking temperature of 100 to 225 degrees centigrade. Several amino acids are capable of producing this beta carbonyl group of amino carbonyl heterocyclic amines even at ordinary cooking temperature for a duration of 10 minutes to 120 minutes. However, if there is presence of hexose like glucose, it will potentiate the production, thereby it will increase the yield also. Similarly, TRPP1 and TRPP2 are also amino carbonyl group of heterocyclic amines that are formed at 180 degrees centigrade when heating creatinine, glucose and tryptophan or isoleucine to a temperature of 180 degrees centigrade for 10 minutes. And the important thing to note, in every reaction we have seen that creatinine as a precursor, but for the formation of aminocarbonyls, we don't require creatinine. However, the creatinine determines the rate of reaction in some cases, or in some cases they determine the quantity of heterocyclic amines formed. Then the second group of heterocyclic amines are called aminoimidazoarenes. These compounds may be imidazoquinoline group, or it may be imidazoquinoxylin group, or it may be imidazopyridine group. So they are otherwise known as thermic mutagen. As the name implies, these aminoimidazoarenes are formed at ordinary cooking temperature of 100 to 225 degrees centigrade. I told you that aminocarbonyl groups are formed when the cooking temperature is over and above 300 degrees centigrade, whereas some of the aminocarbonyl groups formed at ordinary cooking temperature. With respect to aminoimidazoarenes, they are thermic mutagens. Most of the aminoimidazoarenes are formed at a temperature range of 100 to 225 degrees centigrade. So they have been first isolated from grilled or broiled meat and fish. They are extremely mutagenic when compared to aminocarbonyl group of heterocyclic amines. They are formed during ordinary cooking. They don't require higher temperature for their formation. So chemically, these all aminoimidazoarenes possess aminoimidazo group in their structure, and methyl group get attached with this aminoimidazo group. Then we have some bases. That base may be either quinoline, or it may be quinoxylin, or it may be pyridine. It may be quinoline or quinoline. So quinoline or quinoxylin or pyridine get attached with the 2 aminoimidazo group, and in addition to that, this 2 aminoimidazo group possesses a methyl group. I think we have given some diagram. You see, this is one of the this named imidazoquinoline. They possess, this is the imidazole ring structure. This is the imidazole ring structure. You can see that the methyl group get attached with it. This is the imidazole group. It get attached with quinoline. In this case, it get attached with quinoline. So this is the structure of quinoline. This is the structure of quinoxylin, and this is the structure of pyridine. So this 2 aminoimidazo group may get attached with the quinoline group or quinoxylin group or pyridine group. Accordingly, the heterocyclic amine that form will differ. So now we know the chemical structure of amino-imidazole-arene group of heterocyclic aromatic amines. So when during the formation, for the formation we require 2 amino-imidazole group as well as we require creatinine. So now we come to know this 2 amino-imidazole group get formed from the creatinine. We already know the creatinine is in the muscle tissue. So this creatinine results in the formation of these 2 amino-imidazole group. So this when there is formation of heterocyclic amine, this 2 amino-imidazole group is provided by the creatinine compound. Rest of the structure from other components, either maybe amino acid or from other compounds that are present in the food medicinal. That we will see later. So in case of the compounds that belongs to this group include immunoquinoline or methyl-immunoquinoline, immunoquinoxylin, methyl-immunoquinoxylin, dimethyl-immunoquinoxylin, trimethyl-immunoquinoxylin, and that possess pyridine. So immunoquinoline and methyl-immunoquinoline possess quinoline as a base, whereas immunoquinoxylin and methyl-immunoquinoxylin, dimethyl-immunoquinoxylin possess quinoxylin as a base, whereas phenyl-imidazole pyridine and 4B hydroxy phenyl-imidazole pyridine, dimethyl-imidazole pyridine and trimethyl-imidazole pyridine possess pyridine as a base. They all belonging to amino-imidazole-arene group of heterocyclic amines. And the importance of methyl group attachment contribute to wide range of congeners. So at what location that methyl group get attached, that results in production of several number of amino-imidazole-arene group congeners, and they vary in their mutagenic as well as genotoxic potency. That is being determined by the methyl group attachment, where the methyl group get attached. That contribute to potency of the mutagenicity as well as genotoxicity. And these amino-imidazole-arene group of heterocyclic amines are stable at ordinary cooking conditions. However, if you increase the temperature for longer period of time, and they go for degradation. So why I want to say this is, for each, whether it is belonging to amino-globulin group of heterocyclic amines or it belongs to amino-imidazole-arene group of heterocyclic amines, they both have each of the heterocyclic amine compound have a melting point. When the temperature reaches over and above that melting point, they go for degradation. But the thing is, if you take amino-globulin group of heterocyclic amines, their majority of the compounds belong to that group have a melting point of about 300 degrees centigrade. If you cook your product with that much temperature, there will be extensive nutrient loss, and the organoleptic quality also get affected. So we have to find other means to reduce the formation of these heterocyclic amines. And another interesting things to note with respect to amino-imidazole-arenes are their mutagenic potency is not affected by the nitrate. Whereas in amino-globulin group of heterocyclic amines, if you add nitrate, they lose their mutagenic potential. Whereas with respect to amino-imidazole-arene, even there is presence of nitrate, the mutagenic potential of the heterocyclic amine belong to amino-imidazole-arene won't get affected. Because how this nitrate brings about mutagenic potential means they cause deamination in the heterocyclic amine. That can happen only with amino-globulin group of heterocyclic amine. That deamination steps won't take place in amino-imidazole-arene group of heterocyclic amines. This I have already told to you. These are the array of amino-imidazole-arene group of heterocyclic amines, and they are highly mutagenic and they are highly carcinogenic too. This is table gives you the common or chemical name of the abbreviation we have seen in the previous slides. This belongs to your amino-covalent group of heterocyclic amines. This belongs to amino-imidazole, or quinoxylin or pyridine group of heterocyclic amines. So let me see precursors and reaction pathways for formation of some of the heterocyclic amines. Let me take first iminoquinoline and iminoquinoxylin compounds, wherein the myeloid reaction products, some of the myeloid reaction products help to contribute for the formation of iminoquinoline and iminoquinoxylin group of heterocyclic amines. So, Jagerstadt is the person who has identified the formation of heterocyclic amine in 1983, who stated that the creatinine and free amino acids in the food mainstream as well as hexoses are required for formation of imidazole-quinoxylin or iminoquinoline group of heterocyclic amines. And as I already told to you, the creatinine, when subjected to heat, they get converted into creatinine, and thereby they form the amino-imidazole part of the molecule. That means when we subject the creatinine that is present in the muscle tissue, when we subject creatinine to heat, and they go for cyclization and water elimination reaction, thereby form a compound named creatinine. That is nothing but that contributes to your amino-imidazole portion of the amino-imidazole group of heterocyclic amine. So this amino-imidazole portion of the heterocyclic amine is contributed by the creatinine. This creatine get converted into creatinine by cyclization as well as water elimination reaction. So the remaining part of imidazole-quinoline and imidazole-quinoxylin compounds are derived from Stecker's degradation products. What is Stecker's degradation products? I already told to you some of the myeloid reaction products contribute to formation of imidazole-quinoline and imidazole-quinoxylin. I already told to you amino-imidazole. This amino-imidazole portion of the heterocyclic amine has been formed from creatinine. Then where from this portion comes? So for that, this portion comes from Stecker's degradation, which is a particular reaction in myeloid reaction. That is Stecker's degradation is a step in myeloid reaction. So generally, myeloid reaction involve a reaction between carbonyl group of the sugar and amino group of the protein in the food mainstream. When they are subjected to heat, they result in a cascade of reaction. By the way, there will be production of some of the flavor and color compounds that enhance the organoleptic quality of your food. Actually, this myeloid reaction is not this much simple. It is a cascade of reaction. The noted reaction in myeloid reactions are the noted steps in myeloid reaction are SIP-base formation and Amadori rearrangement and Stecker's degradation. During the Stecker's degradation, we get some pyridine and pyrazine derivatives. In addition to that, we get some of the aldehydes. These compounds involved in the formation of imidazole-quinoline or imidazole-quinoxylin compounds. So this is the concise steps involved in myeloid reaction, of which the step E is Stecker's degradation, which results in formation of aldehyde and some other pyridine and pyrazine compounds from amino acids. They involve that reactant products. They get involved in the heterocyclic aromatic amine formation. You see here, we have already seen that myeloid reaction is between some of the hexoses and carbonyl group of the hexose and amino group of the amino acids. When the reaction takes place, one of the steps in myeloid reaction is Stecker's degradation. That results in the formation of pyridine and pyrazine as well as aldehyde. These compounds, along with already I told you, the creatinine when subjected to heat, they get converted, they go for cyclization process by water elimination, and thereby they results in formation of creatinine. This contributes to iminoamidazole ring structure. So this creatinine coupled with pyrazine and pyridine and aldehyde, thereby results in formation of heterocyclic aromatic amine that belongs to amino-imidazoaride group of heterocyclic amines. So second thing, firstly we have seen how the precursors involved in formation of imidazophenylene and imidazopenoxylene group of heterocyclic amines. Now we will see about formation of phenylimidazopyridine. So for the formation of phenylimidopyridine, we require phenylalanine, which is one of the amino acid that reacts with the creatinine. Again, here also the creatinine involved the formation of creatinine, thereby they contribute to amino-imidazo group, whereas phenylalanine results in formation of the rest of the portion. That means they provide some of the other structure, other portion of the phenylimidopyrazine group of heterocyclic amine. Let me see. So whether the rest of the portion may be given by phenylalanine or the leucine, isoleucine and tyrosine are also contributed to the rest of the portion of the phenylimidazopyridine. However, amino-imidazo group is provided by the creatinine. And glucose, during this reaction, glucose influences the formation of phenylimidazopyridine from the phenylalanine and creatinine because they potentiate the reaction. Then, what are the factors that affect the production of heterocyclic amines? One of the factors is temperature and time. The second one is water activity, heat and mass transport of precursors, and the third one is presence of fat oxidation and antioxidants. These are the three major factors that help in the production of heterocyclic amines, or they contribute to the production of heterocyclic amines. In addition to this, some of the enhancers and inhibitors, water activity of the food substrate, they also contribute to the formation of heterocyclic aromatic amines. So first let me take temperature and time. Among the temperature and time, it is the temperature which have more contribution in the production of heterocyclic amines when compared to time, because the temperature contributes to the stability of heterocyclic amines. I have already told you each heterocyclic amine compound possesses a melting point. So the melting point of heterocyclic amine in total varies from 180 to 300. So if you set a temperature of 225, then the compound that have melting point of 180 go for degradation. So that's why I'm saying the temperature has a crucial role in stability of heterocyclic amine. So they have more contribution for the formation and stability of heterocyclic amines. For example, let me take methyl imidazopenoxylene, as well as we will take dimethyl imidazopenoxylene that are formed in the model system that has given a temperature of 225 degree and 250 degree for 15 to 30 minutes. So at this temperature, the concentration of methyl imidazopenoxylene as well as dimethyl imidazopenoxylene get decreased. This is due to the melting point. The melting point is far below the temperature of 225 and 250 degrees centigrade. So they go for degradation. So they lose the stability. Because of that, the concentration get decreased. Here, I have given you a study in beef regarding heterocyclic formation. You see that meat has been subjected to a temperature of 175 degrees centigrade for variable period of time, from 5 minutes to 45 minutes. So initially they started to increase. For example, if you take imidazopenoxylane, initially they started to increase, and the rate of formation is same across a time duration. At what rate it has produced at the time of 5 minutes, it is at the same rate at 45 minutes. So it indicates that the temperature plays a major role, because this particular temperature might not be at the optimum temperature for the production. If you take methyl Imidazopyroxylin, the production increases as the time increases. This indicates that the temperature. So this particular temperature is suitable for the formation of this methyl imidazopyroxylin. Because of that, the goes on increases as the time increases. So this diagram depicts that it is the temperature rather than time that facilitates the formation of particular type of heterocyclic aromatic amines. The second important parameter that influence the heterocyclic aromatic amine formation is water activity and heat mass transport. So the heat mass transport during meat frying is a complex process. This involves crust formation, then moving of zone of water evaporation towards inside, and release of water and juices towards outside. So let me imagine that we are cooking a meat in a pan without water. You can appreciate crust formation on the surface of the meat. This results due to evaporation of water from the surface of the meat, so we can appreciate porous structure on the surface. It doesn't mean the entire water within the meat get lost. So crust has formed, the water is within the side, because inside of the meat piece there will be that much temperature to release the water to the outside. So because of that, the water will be inside, whereas the outside will be outside there will be crust formation. So if you go on heating the meat, the particle to particle conduction of heat occurs. Because of that, the zone of evaporation moves towards inside. At the same time, due to application of heat, the protein in the meat get denatured, which is the molecule that hold the water. So the water gets evaporated and it comes comes to the surface of the meat, thereby that reaches the pan in which we are cooking. So the meat alone won't come. Along with it, the meat juices that possess the precursors of this heterocyclic amine formation also comes out. Because of that, we can appreciate as the precursors has come out of the meat and they have reached the pan, we can see more amount of heterocyclic amines in the pan residue rather than crust of the meat as well as inside of the meat. So when in some of the Western countries, these pan residues are used for preparation of some of the sauces, they will possess more amount of heterocyclic amines. Whereas in India, they are not being used, so this won't be a big problem. We don't know whether in hotels and restaurants they use the pan residues for preparation of some sauces. So, when you go for this is more common. This situation is more common in low frying temperature because it will take long time for cooking the meat. So more amount of meat juices will come out and they get exposed to higher temperature. Thereby, there will be increased formation of these heterocyclic amines in the pan residue. So if you do some minor changes in the recipe, they may alter the quantity of heterocyclic amine that is formed in your food product. So some of the research show addition of some water binding compounds like salt, soy protein or starch, they will reduce the amount of heterocyclic amine formation. These compounds are collectively called as humectants. We have studied about the humectants in intermediate moisture foods. And we already know that meat possesses two types of water. One is bound water and free water. The yesterday class itself we have seen that that bound water cannot be eliminated by application of any form of physical force, whereas the free water that will be available to the microorganism, that we have seen already. That free water will carry the precursors of heterocyclic amine formation to the surface of the meat or to the pan residue. So what we have to do is, we have to make the free water as bound water by the addition of salt, soy protein as well as starch. If you add any one of these compounds, the water becomes bound water, it won't come to the surface and it won't be eliminated by the application of heat. So it won't carry the precursors of this heterocyclic amine formation to the surface or pan residue, so that we can reduce the heterocyclic amine formation on the surface of meat or in the pan residue. So, or the second way to reduce is coating the the meat with breadcrumbs before frying. This also reduces the heterocyclic amine formation because of their insulating effect. Because they won't allow the much of the heat reaching the meat, so that facilitates the formation of heterocyclic amine. So the breadcrumb will go for higher temperature. It will act as an insulative material, so the meat won't achieve the temperature of medium that heats it. So we can avoid the formation of heterocyclic amine. And the third way to reduce the heterocyclic amine formation is marinating the meat pieces before cooking. Also reduce. Marinating is nothing but placing the meat in a liquid medium for a considerable period of time before cooking. The medium usually in acidic condition, it may possess some of the organic acids, and sometimes it usually possesses salt, and sometimes it may possess sugar also. So within that medium, we have to immerse the meat pieces for a considerable period of time, and we have to keep it at low temperature, like we have to keep it under refrigerated condition. Then we can use it for preparation. We can use it for cooking. When we are doing so, it reduces. Then we are subjecting such meat for either grilling or any type of processing, as mentioned earlier, that will reduce the formation of heterocyclic amine. And the third important component that results in that influence formation of heterocyclic amine in meat and meat products is fat, presence of fat oxidation, or presence of antioxidants. So, for example, in one study, the researcher had voluntarily added some of the fatty acids with 18 carbon atom, like saturated C18 fatty acid like stearic acid, as well as unsaturated mono, di and triunsaturated linoleic and linolenic acid to the cooking medium. Along with other meat ingredients, they have added this also to see whether it has any influence on formation of heterocyclic amine. And in one treatment, they have used corn or olive oil to assess the effect of these compounds on formation of heterocyclic amine. The research showed that none of the heterocyclic. One thing you should know, that when there is heterocyclic amine formation, there will be a formation of single type of heterocyclic amine. There will be a group of heterocyclic amine that will be formed, and for which heterocyclic amine formation, the conditions are suitable, that particular heterocyclic amine will be in higher quantity, rest will be in lower. That's the case, right? So this heterocyclic amine, when he conducted the study, he came to know that it doesn't have any influence on the formation of. It didn't affect the profile of heterocyclic aromatic compound which we have got. But when we increase the cooking time from 10 minutes to 30 minutes, this methyl imidazopyroxylene quantity get doubled. What it indicates, the temperature you use would be favorable for the formation of this methyl imidazopyroxylene. And he cannot explain whether the role of fat has contributed, because the heat is also one of the major factors that control the formation of heterocyclic amine. The second thing is, in another study, they have done one thing is they have added iron to the model system. In addition to the liquid creatinine, glycine and glucose, they have added iron compounds to that model system. Then they have subjected it to heating process. We all know that the iron itself is a pro-oxidant, and thereby they brings about lipid oxidation. So I already told you this heterocyclic amine formation involves a free radical reaction. That free radicals that has formed would have contributed to the increased formation of this imidazopyroxylene as well as methyl imidazopyroxylene. This would be the case in the previous study also, because when we subject the fat the oils that we have used in the study to higher temperature, there will be some free radical formation that would have also contributed to the increased formation of methyl imidazopyroxylene. So definitely it shows this pro-oxidants as well as fatty acids have some role, but in isolated study only can be identified whether directly these fatty acids added or this pro-oxidant added has some role in the formation of heterocyclic amine. Then in the same study, if we add some free radical scavengers like beta-carotene or gamma tocopherol to the model system, there is a definite decrease in the formation of methyl imidazopyroxylene as well as imidazopyroxylene as well as dimethyl imidazopyroxylene. This study threw an idea that fatty acids as well as fat oxidation or presence of antioxidant has definite role in the formation of heterocyclic amines. So now we know how the heterocyclic amines are formed in the food system. Now we are about to analyze the quantity of heterocyclic amines in food matrix. So usually heterocyclic amines are present in very trace amounts in the food articles. So usually they occur at microgram level per kg of meat, kg of food matrices. So to assess, so it is very difficult to quantify heterocyclic amine in food matrix. So what we have to do is, the best method to assess the quantity of heterocyclic amine in food matrix is chromatographic techniques. So we have to use chromatographic technique. As the compounds are in very less quantity, they have to be isolated and they have to be cleaned up. They have to be separated from other compounds in food matrix, because the reaction products are too many. So we have to isolate our analyte of interest, then only we can quantify the compound of our own interest, that is heterocyclic aromatic amine. So for that matter, what we need is we have to separate the heterocyclic amine from rest of the food components. Then we have to subject it for analysis. For that process, we have to undergo some sample pre-treatment, which involves cleaning up and sample preparation. So for isolate or separate or for clean our heterocyclic amine from rest of the food components, we have two different methods. One is conventional methods and micro extraction methods. The conventional method to clean up or for prepare heterocyclic amine for analysis are liquid extraction, solid phase extraction, and supercritical fluid extraction, pressurized liquid extraction, and microwave assisted extraction techniques are being used to clean up and prepare the sample for analysis. Micro extraction methods like solid phase and liquid phase micro extraction methods are also available. In modern day, they use these techniques to separate the heterocyclic aromatic amines from rest of the food components. And again, there is liquid phase micro extraction has several variations, which involve single drop micro extraction and disposing liquid micro extraction and all of the micro extraction techniques. So after we prepare sample using the pre-treatment that involves cleanup and which involves sample preparation, then they will be subjected to analysis using chromatographic technique. One of the chromatographic technique, several authors have used HPLC coupled with mass spectrometry, and some used HPLC and diode array detector to detect heterocyclic aromatic amine. Some used fluorescent detector and some used ultraviolet visible detectors. So some of the researchers use liquid chromatography mass spectrometry, or some use gas chromatography mass spectrometry technique. Some of the researchers, they have used gas chromatography coupled with flame ionization detector to identify in some cases to quantify the amount of heterocyclic aromatic amine in their product of interest. So in addition to these are the commonly used method to detect as well as quantify the heterocyclic aromatic amine in the food ministry. Some other analytical techniques are also employed by some other researchers, which involve capillary Electrophoresis technique, coupled with dielectro UV detector, and CLC technique with diode array detector and mass spectrometry, and capillary high performance liquid chromatographic technique, ultra performance liquid chromatographic technique with some detector, ultra high performance liquid chromatographic technique have also been used to detect heterocyclic amines in the food. Thank you. Any doubt, please, participants? Is it okay? Any questions? So Dr. Kanimuri has asked that is there any guideline or any permissible level for heterocyclic amine? So far, no standards has been proposed by our FSSAI. But in Europa, they have specified for some of the products, especially for some fishery products. No. And she has asked that is there any permissible level? It hasn't been set forth so far. That Vijender asked that whether how the creatinine involved in maillard reaction. Actually, creatinine hasn't involved in maillard reaction. The creatinine is a compound that is present in the liver. So liver, it is formed in the liver and get distributed in all the muscle tissue. That means muscle tissue possesses creatinine, right? So you are subjecting the meat to cooking. When you cook the meat, that creatine get converted into creatinine, a cyclical compound. Right? They won't participate in maillard reaction. Maillard reaction is between the reducing sugar present in the meat. So meat possesses glycogen and several mucopolysaccharide as well as simple sugars. That some of the reducing sugars go for reaction with maillard reaction with the amino group of the proteins that are present in the meat. They undergo Maillard reaction. In Maillard reaction, we have a step called Stecker's degradation. During Stecker's degradation, we get some products. That intermediate products react with the creatinine that has been formed from creatinine. So this creatinine react with the Stecker's degradation product, thereby results in formation of heterocycline. There is no role of creatinine in Maillard reaction. If no other question, let me switch over to other topic. We all of you get one way to reduce. Dr. Kanimuri has one way to reduce this level of heterocycline. Addition of antioxidants also reduce the formation of heterocyclic amine by controlled cooking. Controlled cooking also we can reduce. So if you control the cooking temperature at low level and the cooking method, you should not always consume fried products or barbecue product which possess more amount of heterocyclic. Okay, so we will switch over to another topic on polyaromatic hydrocarbon. These are also one of the process-induced toxicants that commonly found in smoked meat products. For that, I invite Dr. M. Muthulakshmi who is working as who was working as a scientist in NRC meet for a considerable period of time. After that, she has joined as assistant professor at our university, and currently she is working in Veterinary College and Research Institute, Namakkal. I invite Muthulakshmi to take the dais. Thank you.
மேடம் அன்மியூட் பண்ணுங்க. முதுகுஷி மேடம் நீங்க அன்மியூட் பண்ணுங்க மேடம். நீங்க பேசுறது கேட்கல.
என்ன சொல்லணும்?
மேடம் உங்க வாய்ஸ் கேட்கல மேடம்.
Okay, sir. I'll see.
இப்போ கேக்குது.
Good morning, one and all. Now we will see about the process induced toxicant, that is the polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbon. Just now you have seen the heterocyclic aromatic hydrocarbon. Now we will see about the polyaromatic hydrocarbon. These heterocyclic amines and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons are produced during the cooking of meat. Let us see what is the pH. The polycyclic carbon and hydrogen that are composed of multiple aromatic rings, that is organic rings in which the electrons are delocalized. The pH are the class of carcinogenic molecules that consist of 3 or more benzene rings. pH is by pyrolysis of the organic matter. Coming to the pH compound, there are more than 300 pH compounds are there. In that, 16 are most important. These are the 16 compounds: naphthalene, acinaphthalene, phenanthrene, chlorothin, benzpyrrolidine, benzanthrene, benzpyrene, diamethanthrene, acinaphthalene, chlorine, anthracene, pyrene. Like that, these are the 16 compounds important pH compound. Why it's important is these are the indicator of cancer producing organism. This is the United States environment high molecular potential carcinogenic pH compounds produced during the incomplete combustion. One is benzoanthracene, trisine, benzofluoranthene, benzofluoranthene, and benzpyrene, internalpyrene, and benzylpyrene, diphenol compound in the 16 compounds. Coming to the pH also classified as light and heavy pHs. The pH is comprised of light pHs. It is in light pHs 4 fused benzene rings are there. In case of heavy pHs, more than 4 benzene rings are there. The heavy pH polyaromatic hydrocarbons are more stable and toxic than the light pHs. Meanwhile, the and water soluble and less lipophilic compared to the heavy polyaromatic hydrocarbon. Coming to the physicochemical properties of polyaromatic hydrocarbons, these are non-polar and lipophilic. The large pH are generally insoluble in water, and although some smaller pHs are soluble in water, mostly these are insoluble. The larger members are also poorly soluble in, even though in the organic solvent and in liquids. It has a high melting and boiling point. Coming to the categories of polyaromatic hydrocarbons based on the molecular weight. Based on molecular weight, will divide into three: low molecular weight pH compound, medium molecular, and high molecular weight. In low molecular weight polyaromatic hydrocarbons, in that the aromatic ring is 2 to 3 are there. The molecular weight of low molecular weight hydrocarbons are 150 to 178 grams per mole. Example of low molecular weight pH is phenanthrate. Coming to medium molecular weight of pH, in that 4 aromatic rings are there. If you see the weight of medium molecular 202 grams per mole. Example of medium molecular weight pHs are fluorantane and pyrene. These are the medium molecular weight pHs. Coming to the high molecular weight, in that 5 to 7 aromatic rings are there. In that molecular weight is 228 to 278 grams per mole. The example for the high molecular weight compound is benzpyrene, dibenzanthracene, impenolpyrene. These are the high molecular weight compounds. Coming to classification based on the IASC, that is International Agency for Research on Cancer, they classified the pHs compound into 4: group 1, group 2A, and group 2B, and group 3. In group 1, that is carcinogenic to human. In that, the benzpyrene is the main compound. Another group is 2A, in that it is probably carcinogenic to human beings. It is benzanthracene, dibenzoanthracene, and dibenzopyrene. These are the probably carcinogen to the human beings. In third group, it is possibly carcinogenic to the humans. In that benzanthracene, benzfluorantane, like the dibenzopyrene, like the compounds are possibly carcinogenic to the humans. In group 3, it is unclassified as a carcinogenic to the humans. In that group, coming to in that natural sources, we will get the pH compound formed during the volcanic eruption and the wild forest fire. In anthropogenic sources, the agricultural sources, it is formed from the pesticide, and also domestic sources, burning of goods, oil, gases, and portrait and cigarette, etc. This will form the pH compounds. Then industrial sources, if the dumping of sewage sludge and organic waste also form the pH compounds. The source of polyaromatic hydrocarbons, diet is the major source of human exposure to the polyaromatic hydrocarbons, as it accounts almost 88 to 98% from the diet source human will exposed. The processing of food at high temperature like grilling, roasting, frying and smoking are the major source of generating these compounds. If you are taking this, how much they are producing during this type of processing means in raw meat it is a 0.01 to 1 microgram per kg. You see here that is a 200 microgram per kg of smoked fish and 130 microgram of barbecued meat. How much they are increasing you see during the processing. Now we see the formation of polyaromatic hydrocarbons. The polyaromatic hydrocarbons are produced during the variation of incomplete combustion and pyrolysis of the process. In the formation of pH compound, first three mechanisms are there. In that first mechanism, the pyrolysis of organic matter such as fat, carbohydrate, protein at higher temperature, above 200 degrees Celsius, where the favorable condition of the pH formation is at the temperature ranging from the 500 to 900 degrees Celsius. The highest concentration of pH is shown to arise from the pyrolysis of the fat. This is the second mechanism of pH formation in processed meat. The yield of liquid between in the direct contact over the flame at the intense heat. From the liquid between, we'll get, because of burning of the dripping, they produce the pH compound. This condition is suitable in the formation of volatile pHs, which then are deposited on the meat surface as the smoke rises. Coming to third mechanism, this is least compared to previous two, in the incomplete combustion of the charcoal, which can generate the pHs that in turn occur to the surface of the food. The pHs produced in the processed and cooked food as a consequence of organic matter combustion during the cooking and smoking process. Also, the direct deposition of the pHs from the produced smoke through the incomplete combustion of the different thermal agents also occur. You will think about the how that pH is transferred to the food means. One is environmental sources, another one is processing of the meat. In environmental source means from that pesticide like that petroleum, volcanic eruption. These are the environmental source will contaminate the food. The other way is food is processed under the many conditions: smoking, drying, frying, grilling, roasting, etc. These are the method of cooking, and they produce a higher amount of pH compound. Coming to the factors, what are the factors affecting the polyaromatic hydrocarbon concentration means? One is type of meat, then fat content of the food, cooking method, cooking temperature, cooking duration, or level of the toner, and the type of fuel used for or type of heat sources. Then proximity and direct contact with the heat sources. First, we will see about the type of meat. If the meat contains more fat, marbling, as well as the myoglobin content, which may influence the level of pH increase. Some studies have reported that the concentration of pH is higher in grilled meat, red meat, compared to the grilled chickens and eggs. Coming to the fat content of the fat content of the food can contribute to the generation of pH through the either thermal degradation or polymerization. The different thermal process which affect the formation of pH quantitatively. Coming to the fat content of the food, the fat is a major precursor of polyaromatic hydrocarbons, forming where the amount of fat content in the processed food affected the level of pH. The grilling meat with appreciable fat content will contribute to the high presence of polyaromatic hydrocarbons. In contrast, food with low fat content contains only significant amount of PAH. Next, cooking method, how it will affect the pH formation is heating. Grilling and smoking of the food directly in contact with the combustion gases is an important source of contamination. Grilling and smoking. The lower level of pH in oven baking and a higher wood fire grilled products observed by the Marcus et al. In 2011. Regarding cooking temperature, the temperature rises, more pHs are produced. The pH can also form at low temperature. If we are keeping longer time, in low temperature also the pH compound will form. Then cooking duration, that already we have seen. If you are longer cooking time means the pH compound will form more. Coming to type of fuel used or type of heat source means the type of fuel used was influenced the level of pHs formed, such as electric, gas, or wood or charcoal. The carbon burning produced a low level of polyaromatic hydrocarbons than the wood. The grilling of meat in the charcoal oven released a substantial quantity of pHs than the meat roasted in the electrical oven. Coming to the proximity and the direct contact with the heat sources, in that if we are preventing the fat dripping from the meat to heat sources, we can avoid the formation of pH compounds. Therefore, avoiding the direct contact of the meat with the cooking flame or grilling at the intense temperature can reduce the occurrence of pH during the charcoal grilling. These are the factors affecting the formation of pH compound in the meat product. Coming to some research done by the researcher regarding the pH compound in the processed and cooked meat. We will see about that one. The Jacob et al. 2013 has measured the sum of the three pH compounds, that is fluoranthine, benzfluoranthine, and benzpyrene, and reported that the level of pH in the different kind of meat. It is almost barbecue, grilled, having them, and saute also having the more pH compound per gram of meat. In Estonia, they have found the high benzpyrene found in the homemade ham and smoked meat, smoked chicken, smoked around in case of smoked chicken, they have found 15 micrograms per kg of meat. These are some studies done by some researchers. In naphthalene, phenanthrene, fluoranthine, and pyrene that reported to be the more prominent pH in the processed food. while the diphenanthracene, benzofluoranthine were found to be low in concentration in the food. And in one more study by the Anderson et al. 2002, the level of pH in the meat products can be minimized through the alternative cooking method for indent boiling, baking, steaming, as well as cooking at a lower temperature and shorter time. In the significant number of pH normally occur at the surface of the product. However, the diffusion into the inner part can take place during the storage. Meat and other meat products are well done cooking situations where cooking more time means it increases the chemical carcinogenic exposure to the product. The highest level of benzopyrene was found in the very well done grilled barbecue beef salad and the charcoal grilled fish and very well done chicken salad by charcoal letter 2014. The maximum concentration of pHs in the smoked product is attained immediately after the smoking period was completed, but it was decreasing afterwards due to the decomposition and triggered by the light and interaction with the other compound. If storage condition, it will reduce. Coming to the polyaromatic hydrocarbons in chicken processing, in 2011, they applied different treatments like steam preheating, microwave preheating, aluminum wrapping, banana wrapping, and charcoal grilling to the chicken terminals during the grilling and studied the concentration of 3 pH compound in the processed chicken. They found the better result was observed for the banana wrapping was attributed to the lower grilling time and less burning of the banana leaves during the process, thereby favoring the less pH formation in the chicken samples. The effect of oil and marination type also studied by one author. They found the 16 pH compound of the charcoal grilled chicken. The oil type also demonstrated significant effect on the pH concentration in the chicken. Around 16% reduction in the pH concentration was found in the chicken fried with palm oil than the sunflower oil. In that one study, the fried chicken, these are the different pH compound present more. In case of firing, it is present around 30%. In case of benzofluorethiene, it is present around 21%. And inthinol pyrene also present as much as 31%. And benzopyrene is around 17%. Remaining is compared to this percentage is very less. Coming to the barbecue chicken, this is the creatine is more. It is around 30%. Creatine is present. The pyrene is around 22%. Benzopyrene is around 18%. That is the indicator of carcinogenic compound. That is around 18% in the barbecue chicken. Then benzofluorine is around 19%. Coming to the roasted chicken, in that study they found benzopyrene almost 99% in the roasted chicken, around 0.1793 microgram per kg. Not only the grilling, frying, barbecued chicken produces pH common, boiling also produces a little bit uh, polyaromatic hydrocarbon in chicken. Uh, in that, the bench firing produced around 66% compared to 34% of acid oxalate. Remaining is not found. But the level of bench firing is very less, 66%. That is level is 0.0933%. In drug processing also, some researchers found the polyaromatic hydrocarbon. They did research in that aspect. The pH concentration in part of the drug prepared by the Hong method were highest compared to as a keeping average. Also, the benzopyrene concentration, which was general below 1 microgram per kg, it increased the like the cooked meat 8.7 microgram per kg in the Hong method. It exhibiting the serious health concerns associated with this type of cooking. Coming to the how we can assess the pH compound from this type of product means in natural product means one is chromatography technique, another one is biosensing immunoassay, another one is sensing using the novel material. In case of meat and milk product, the chromatography technique is very common. The analyzed by HPLC, that is high performance liquid chromatography, with ultraviolet or fluorescent detection, and gas chromatography, in that the flame ionization detector is used. And then gas chromatography with mass spectrometry are these are the equipment used for analysis of pH compound in the meat and milk products. The most of these methods, however, require the sample preparation steps, such as extraction, concentration, and isolation, to enhance the sensitivity and selectivity of the detection. The contemporary analytical procedures make it possible to determine the individual pHs in a smoked food at the concentration of concentration of the order of, even we can assess the 0.1 microgram per kg of meat or even 0.01 microgram per kg of meat. These are the detection techniques. Coming to how human being is exposed to the pH compound. One is inhalation, another one is skin contact. Most common method, it is 80 to 98% from the consumption of contaminated food. Inhalation means the inhalation of tobacco smoke, wood smoke, and ambient air, and the inhalation of engine exhaust, and people working in the industry such as mining, oil refining, and metal working. These people will get from the inhalation as a route of exposure. In case of skin contact, the breathing in or touching the pH compound for a longer time, whether suggested to cause a lung or skin cancer. The food that we know, it is eating a food containing the pHs, fruits and vegetables grown in the contaminated soil also, people will get the exposure to the pH compound, and the processed food, especially the grilling, roasting, barbecuing, frying, etc. These are the method of cooking. Food is a more carcinogenic compounds. Coming to the how the The pH compound absorbed, distributed, and excretion means the pH compounds are highly lipophilic compounds, so they are absorbed quickly by all the route of exposure. The polyaromatic hydrocarbons mainly stored in kidneys, liver, and fat tissues. These compounds mostly excreted via the feces and urine. Coming to see the health effect of the polyaromatic hydrocarbons to human being is one is short-term health effect, another one is long-term health effect. In case of short-term health effect, the eye and skin irritation will occur, and nausea, vomiting also will come, and inflammation of the tissue. These are the short-term effect of pH compound entering into the body. Coming to the long-term health effect, the skin, lungs, bladder, and the gastrointestinal cancer will come. It will affect the DNA, so it change the replication of DNA in the cells. It also affect the kidney, liver. The pH compound also cause the gene mutation, cell damaging, and cardiopulmonary mortality. Coming to the carcinogenicity of pHs, this one we all know the polyaromatic hydrocarbon has the ability to cause the cancer. International Agency for Research on Cancer categorized already we have seen few groups based on the occurrence of potency of the compound to produce the carcinogen. The IARC has classified benzpyrene as the most probable carcinogenic to the human being. The benzpyrene is considered an indicator in determining the level of pH. It is the indicator. The benzpyrene in the food should not exceed the 10 parts per million. Coming to the how we can estimate the dietary exposure and the health risk assessment of pH means, first we have to assess the estimated daily intake and toxic equivalency portion and margin of exposure. Estimated daily intake, how we can assess means the EDA is Ca into Cc divided by body weight. Ca is the mean concentration of polyaromatic hydrocarbon or combination of pHs. How much the concentration is there? The Cc is the daily, how much we are taking daily, that is Cc. That is what is our body weight. From the three things, concentration, how much we are consumption, body weight. Based on that, we can estimate the daily intake of pH compound. Then toxic equivalency portion. The toxic equivalency factors is the C is how much the pH concentration, I is a sample concentration, how much it is there. Then TEFI is the benzpyrene value relative to the potency value populates for the each individual polyaromatic hydrocarbon. These are the how we can estimate this, the toxic equivalency portion. Coming to margin of exposure. The margin of exposure is V ml/dl. It is the estimated exposure dose. It is a dose lower limit measurable response of 0.1 mg benzpyrene per kg body weight per day. This is the EDE, this is chronic daily dietary pH exposure, mg per kg per day. According to the Commission of Regulation, EC regulation, the highest admissible level of benzpyrene in the food is 2 microgram per kg, whereas the sum of most potential carcinogenic compound, it should not exceed the 12 microgram per kg. Now we have seen what is the pH compound, how they are forming, what are the factors affecting the pH compound, and then we have seen the how we can estimate the pH compound, then how we can assess the human exposure, like that we have seen. Now we will see about the how mitigate the pH formation in meat product. In that first, the part of the food use the lean meat. If more fat means it will produce a more pH compound. So we have to use the lean meat. Then exposing the area containing less fat for grilling. If fat also that means we have to keep a turned position. Then it will prevent the fat within to the heat. Avoiding the direct exposure of the meat to a open flame or hot metal surface. Then avoiding the prolonged cooking time, especially at higher temperature. Then replacement of traditional wood with a wheel and flame. Then use of electrical or gas meat broilers over the charcoal. Charcoal is producing a more pH compound, so we have to avoid the charcoal. Coming to the some other mitigation for pH formation is the use of acid-based marination as a lemon juice before grilling. It reduces the formation of pH compound in meat product and removing the charred portion from the cooked meat. Then preheating with the steam and microwave can also reduce the formation of pH compound. Then wrapping with the aluminum or banana leaf can also reduce the formation of pH compound. Then using the liquid smoke. Packaging also reduces the formed pH compound in the cooked meat product. It will diffusion from the meat product to packaging material in that like LDPE and PET poly material. The pH compound will diffuse. These are the some of mitigation method for formation of pH compound in meat product. Coming to the conclusion of polyaromatic hydrocarbons, these reductions, how early we have seen how we can reduce the pH compound formation. This strategy do not consider the consumer preference and a change in the organoleptic properties if any. The most of the cooking practices are preferred because of characteristic taste and aroma imparting the nature. We have to create awareness campaign may prove the beneficial in this conduct. Unfortunately, there is still lacking of studies on bioaccessibility of the pH in the food, since most of the studies only being focused in soil. The studies should be conducted on the other meat and fish products to estimate the bioaccessibility of the pH which is available for the human absorption. The present strategies upon the polyaromatic hydrocarbons contamination in the food, but it is also important to link with them the cancer human interactive studies. Thus, the human monitoring to examine the changes associated with the pH exposure may prove the beneficial. Thank you, Ananta. Is there any question? Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you for passion listening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So on behalf of, so I thank Dr. Muthulakshmi Madam for a wonderful presentation on polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We will join for the next session at 1 o'clock. Thank you. 1:30.